you should put on one photo.
So do we have Rich on?
Sean's just right up there.
Okay. Perfect. Then it is right 11, and I'm going to call the Seneca Healthcare District Board of Directors meeting to order. Let's go ahead and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, and I guess I should note the members present. We have Ken here, Sherry is here, I'm Rich is online, and I'm here, and our newest board member, Shelley, is here. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, do we have any public comment?
I received no public comments.
Okay. Anyone online, TK?
There's no hands raised on my.
Oh, thank you. Chelsea? Okay, so then let's go ahead and move on, and we'll do the oath of office for Shelley. Shelley, if you could please stand and raise your right hand. Yeah, I, Shelley Stelzner, do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the State of California,
and the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah.
Time to be here.
Yeah,
Exciting.
just in time for our 340 some odd page document. It's not usually like this.
All right.
Okay,
You
all
want me to
right,
sign this?
so, yes, please, and then I'll sign it. All right, so next up is our resolution number 437. Consider adoption of resolution 437, a resolution of the Seneca Healthcare District Board of Directors making findings, adopting a mitigated negative declaration, and adopting a mitigation monitoring and reporting program under the California Environmental Quality Act for the Seneca Healthcare District Facility Replacement Project. All right, and we have Donna online?
Yes.
Hey, Donna.
Hi
All right,
there.
board members, I know this was a lot to digest. I don't know, Donna, if you have anything you wanted to say before we see if anyone has questions?
Can I just give a summary of the steps that we've taken to get here?
Sure,
And
please.
also want to introduce that we have Doug Herring from Sequoia Environmental, who Sequoia created this initial study, mitigated negative declaration and the associated mitigation management plan. And we also have on the phone Grant Orbach from BBK, who is legal representation and assisted with drafting the resolutions that you have before you. So to get to where we are, as I said, Sequoia Environmental developed this initial study mitigated negative declaration with input from both design professionals for the scope of the project, as well as county input to ensure that we have the document addressing downstream needs once the Seneca board approves or adopts the mitigated negative declaration. It then goes to the county for the Board of Supervisors review and acceptance, and then again to LAFCO for their review and acceptance. Those two entities are identified as responsible agencies within this CEQA document. This document went to the public on March 7th for public comment. We received one set of comments from the Department of Transportation, which you'll see referenced in the response to comments attachment with at the bottom of the 300 and some pages that you've got. So that addresses the comment from Department of Transportation. Department of Transportation agreed that the way that their questions were responded to is satisfactory. And so with that, we put this document and the mitigated negative declaration along with the mitigation management plan to the board for review and adoption.
Right. Any board members have questions? I had a few. I took my notes on my phone. just basic ones. If I can get my notes pulled up. So in the air quality section, I talked about a diesel generator. Do we use diesel generators?
We will
Yeah.
use it, yes.
We will, okay,
Absolutely.
okay. And then I was curious about the ethylene oxide sterilizer. Do we use that in our surgery center?
Yes.
Okay. And then Donna, this question's probably for you. In the wetland assessment, we talked about needing to do pre-construction floristic surveys, and I was curious about when those would need to occur or when they would occur.
So we have an RFP out right now to 3 different biological consultants for that work with the requirements for response, indicating that the timeline for the work is to begin the beginning of June with a completion by June 14th, followed by a training of the also in RFP process, the selected licensed timber operator, training of that licensed timber operator of any findings within that floristic survey and all. There's 5 different mitigation measures within the mitigation management plan that are being put to that biological consultant as their scope of work. And then the biological consultant will also have to give training to the general contractor, so for which we are planning on recording that, so that the general contractor will then have that to be able to share with their subcontractors within their training procedures. Then subsequently, next year, when we start construction again, we will have to do, and this is also within the biological consultant RFP, next year, when we start construction again, we will have them do the same floristic study.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
That's what I was wondering, because I thought the way it was read was that we needed to have it done before we even move any trees, so.
That's part of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And then in the energy section, it was talking about solar. We're not using solar, are we?
No, we go ahead, Donna.
There's a minimum code requirement for having the infrastructure for solar, so that it can be installed at a later date. So that's something that could be incorporated later. So minimum code requirements is what we're anticipating for this at this stage of the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
And frankly, that's something that, the board may take up later,
Yeah.
even a microgrid type solution.
And then I had kind of a general question about the permits that are mentioned in the study, like the general permit for stormwater discharges, et cetera, et cetera. Are those permits something that we are going to be acquiring ourselves, or is that something that Volt is doing? How does that work?
So for the SWIP, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Program, and the associated notice of intent, I believe, NOI, we have to file it on behalf of the contractor, but the contractor manages that. So I'll be, hopefully, I know Linda's on here, so so my intent is hopefully working with Linda to get the contractor what they need in order to do their scope of work associated with that.
Okay, thank you. That helps, Donna. Sorry, I just have a couple more. see, the wetland, okay, Exhibit F, the wetland screening, talked about conclusions and recommendations and said that we need to reach out to the water board staff for feedback regarding filling the existing ditch by the clinic driveway. So I was wondering if we've done that yet, or if we still need to get that back from them.
That is a good question. We have not done that. That is not part of the mitigation management plan. Doug, can I have you address that? And we have to give Doug a little leeway too, because he is picking up this baton from his predecessor. So who is the one? His predecessor is the one that wrote the document. So hoping I'm not putting you too much on the spot there, Doug. But
I'm sorry, this was on the wetland permit?
on the wetland delineation document, that's one of the exhibits.
It was Exhibit F.
Yeah, it talks about needing an approval to fill the ditch on the south side of the property, but that was not a mitigation measure.
That's interesting, because that would typically be a fill permit from the Corps of Engineers. It might be a nationwide permit, which is procedurally faster and easier compliance, but before you break ground, you would need to have that permit in place from the Corps. I'm sorry, as you noted, I did not prepare this document, so I'm coming in disadvantaged. But if there's a drainage ditch that's been determined to be jurisdictional, then it needs to receive approval from the Corps of Engineers.
I feel that we need to put some weight on the analysis, so that think about the timing of the document. So the exhibit that we're referencing was created significantly before the CEQA document was created, and I have to. Or I don't have to. I tend to believe that Sequoia reviewed and provided the appropriate recommendations for addressing that, considering they had that document and even exhibited it within the mitigated negative deck.
It does, but it does sound like something that the Regional Water Quality Control Board would be much more interested in, because it's not a major drainage.
It's not, in fact, it hasn't been.
No.
It's more, that's a drainage, I don't even think I've seen flow come through there. It's more of a catch basin for our snow removal. Than
Just out the back here,
It's right
right?
here. It's
Yeah,
right here.
yeah.
And it's a ditch,
Got
it
it.
doesn't flow water, it doesn't come out of a water source. To me, it's not something, filling it in is not going to create any kind of issues as it relates to drainage, because it never has any water in it.
Yeah,
Literally, it's just a dumping zone for our snow, but we're gonna have that holding tank that's gonna be ultimately for the thing on that side. So fill it in. I mean, there's no water source to it at all.
I don't think it could qualify under what the Corps would manage.
Right.
Sean, it's Linda. Can I weigh in on this ditch?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so the history of that ditch is when Seneca Healthcare purchased the property that Lake Almanor Clinic now sits on. It was required by Collins Pine Company to give them a drainage easement, because prior to that property used to drain onto the property where our clinic now sits, because it was extremely low in elevation compared to that property. I had to have our property raised by 6 feet in order to bring it up to the level of the other property that's there. So that was only required by Pine. It's no longer an issue now that we put other drainage ponds and catch basins over on that property. And I think it's a non-issue item all the way around.
that's why.
There's a the initial study does identify that it's potentially jurisdictional waters, but if you stay out of it, it needs to be, there's a mitigation that requires it to be mapped out, marked out as an environmentally sensitive area and avoided during construction. If
I
it's,
think that's a different.
That's a different ditch.
Doug.
oh,
That's the one, that's the Stover ditch on the far north.
my mistake. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. And we will be protecting that for sure, definitely. We're not even
So
close.
I am reading within the document itself, the mitigated negative deck that says a construction, so I'm on page 59, the numbered page 59, that says a constructed ditch / basin is present adjacent to the paved medical clinic driveway and parking areas along the southern boundary of the study area. The western end of the feature at the northwestern corner of the parking area is at the same elevation as the paved parking area and deepens to the east. No outlet was observed. Although the feature does not possess wetland characteristics, it may hold precipitation or snowmelt at certain times of the year. Accordingly, it may meet the Water Board's definition of a surface water for similarly created waters of the state. The Water Board typically waives its permit authority.
There it is. There it is. Okay.
Thank you, Donna.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I think that was the last of my questions for now. Anybody else have any?
I had a few questions.
Sure, go ahead, go ahead.
Realizing that I'm the newest member here.
Yes.
Could we review the flight path and the options? Because I did read about option 1 for the Collins Pine flight path. And it was unclear to me about the other flight path.
They were eliminated. So that we had originally, and I can speak to this, if you want me to, Don, is it okay? The original, and I'm going to speak to the flight path, our wonderful flight path. So we looked at prevailing winds and everything that was coming into the basin. So we actually originally devised 3 flight paths. The best flight path would have been directly over the top of Maywood. We eliminated that. We eliminated the one to the northeast because of raptor activities and to the north because of the wetlands. So we agreed, we talked to the pilots, they were all on board, that we would have a single approach point, which is going to be over the top of Collins Pine Pond and over from the west inbound on the outside of Maywood. And they said basically occasionally they may come in from the northeast, but they'll stay high away from the raptors and they'll just rotor down.
Okay.
But the approach is going to be, the primary approach is going to be from the west.
Okay.
And they said the winds, because they're helicopters and they make their own lift,
Mhm.
they can literally come in and point their nose into the wind
Okay.
for the approach. So we have a single approach point.
Okay.
And it will be VFR only, it will not be instruments.
Okay. So we're going to try and contract with an air ambulance company that utilizes the Euroceptors?
We already do.
We already do.
So we have Flight Care, Care Flight, and Reach that they will all pick up from here. They're under contract with us depending on where we're going. If we're going to Reno, it's usually Care Flight. So they will all come in here and be able to utilize that heliport.
There's no instrument landing.
No instrument approach. Well, first of all, there's a couple reasons for that. And we're going to be setting up the lighting for ultimate an instrument approach. But according to Part 135, which is their charter for air ambulance, they have to have twin engine turbines to do instrument approaches with patients for patient pickup. Only one service has that, and that's Reach.
Hmm.
So all of them are single turbines, so they can't even run an instrument approach.
Yeah.
Even at the airport.
Okay.
So it'll be set up for VFR with the approach point, and then it'll be pilot decision depending upon conditions on how they bring the bird in.
And Sean, VFR is visual.
Visual flight rules, yeah, versus instrument flight rules.
Okay.
So yeah, a single approach point. And it's nice because it's over Collins Pine, it's industrial.
Sure.
Can I supplement, just supplementing the reference to the option 1 that's within the CEQA document? I want to make sure that it's clear that there's no other option that we're presenting for the flight paths. The option 1 is related to.
Be on the roof.
Further. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and as I recall, Donna, the reason too for putting it in this document in this way is in case for some reason we end up not doing the heliport, our CEQA document is
It's still
still
there.
intact and ready for us to
Right.
move forward.
We've done all the CEQA work to
Yeah.
accommodate the
Makes
heliport.
sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Good question, though. You have any others?
No.
Anyone
Thank
else? Ken?
No.
Sherry?
No.
Rich, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Then with that, I will accept a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 437.
I move we approve and adopt resolution 437.
Thank you, Sherry. Do I have a second?
Aye.
Shelley, second. Thank you. Okay, all in favor, Rich?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
Shelley?
Aye.
Sherry?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have consider adoption of resolution number 438, a resolution of the Seneca Healthcare District Board of Directors directing issuance of notice to proceed with construction of replacement facility project promptly, but more than 30 days after filing of notice of determination. All right, Donna, you're up again.
Okay, so this is asking for the Board of Directors to authorize us to proceed into construction, having approved the CEQA document. The reference to the 30 days is our notice of determination time period. So we have 30 days after the notice of determination for the document to become, sure this isn't the correct legal term, but official. And so once that 30 days is over, then what this resolution does is it allows us to have board approval to proceed to construction. I want to point out that the proceeding into construction references on section 1, it says except to the extent otherwise required by law. And I want to just make sure that the board is aware that that phrase allows us to proceed with getting your approval, knowing that we still have some other steps that I referenced earlier with getting the Board of Supervisors approval and the LASCO annexation. So this is approving, this board approving proceeding to construction, knowing that there's some other legal steps that need to occur.
Any
Can I just
questions?
add a quick note to that, Donna?
Mhm.
Legally, the board, you could move forward on a construction contract today. You adopted the MND and the MMRP, but there's a 30, when you file the notice of determination, that starts a 30-day statute of limitations in which somebody has the right to sue the district's decision on CEQA. If you don't file the notice, it's not mandatory to file the NOD, but if you don't, then the statute of limitations is 180 days. But technically you could issue the contract immediately.
Understood.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, any other questions, comments? Rich, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, then I will accept a motion to approve and adopt resolution number 438.
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution 438.
Thank you, Ken. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sherry. All in favor, Sherry?
Yes.
Shelley?
Aye.
Ken? Rich?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. Thank you. Okay, and let's see, we don't have any information only items for today. So our next regular board meeting is going to be on May 25th, 3 p.m. here in the conference room. And I think with that, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
That's probably going to be the easiest meeting.
That's gonna be
Fastest meeting we've ever had.